And if you look at Brentford, even Bristol City, on the counter-attack, teams fly at us.
Yeah.
6 men are running up and
Yeah.
they're moving. And the guy who's actually on the break and he's running, the ball is glued to his foot and he's not stopping. It's a bit like Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And he's going to the corner flag and his teammates are backing him up.
Is he available?
I'll take him at the minute. Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And on Friday evening for an 8 o'clock kickoff, Blues travel to Wrexham, which is a place we know is difficult to go. Now, we've gotten familiar with Wrexham over the years, especially during our League One campaign when it was dubbed as the Hollywood NFL rivalry. But in this game, we're going to keep it all about the football. We're going to talk about the two teams, what we might expect in terms of style of play, and then, of course, end it, as always, with a score prediction. So, Dad, I know this is one of your favourite fixtures, isn't it?
Yeah, Wrexham. But before we get that, so we'll give a bit of a notice because after this video, we won't be putting another video out until the Wolves game. So, because basically I'm on holiday for a week. Don't shoot me. This is something that was booked many, many months ago. And I know it's the worst time of the year because we've got the transfer window coming to an end as well. But we'll do a catch-up and all the information when I come back. So after this video, the next one you'll see from us will be in relation to the Wolves game. And it is because we are a studio-based podcast, it needs two of us in the room at the same time. So if one of us are away, clearly we don't do one. So I've just make people aware of that. We're not going anywhere. It's just that I've booked a holiday for quite a long time ago. Onto the Wrexham game, Matt. What a game to come back into after our drubbing in the EFL Cup against Brentford. Yeah, it's not my favourite fixture for a lot of reasons. Nothing against Wrexham. It's just the way that the media hypes this one up all the time. Sort
of fake hysteria around it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I like it for the football reasons, but I just don't like the camaraderie and not really camaraderie. Is it the circus, I suppose, that goes around the fixture? But a tough game. I mean. What do we say, Matt, after what we saw on Tuesday night? I know that we had 6 changes on Tuesday night, but if that's the strength of our squad, then we're only a couple of players, a few injuries away from a disaster, really, aren't we?
We are. I think, Prisk and Stano will make a difference because we saw the difference they made when they came on against Brentford. We mentioned about the lack of energy that, in particular, Vasquez and Fujimoto gave us running the line. But that's a small thing. It's bigger than that. It's a mental thing. It's a getting ready to go to war thing. I know that might sound over the top, but actually that is what it is at the minute because we look so off kilter. We look so off balance. We don't really know what we're doing at the minute. So the least the players can do is turn up and fight for every aerial battle, fight for every challenge. And I think, Wrexham away is not an easy game. They're a physical team. They're a direct team. If we let them play their style of football and we don't progress from where we've been over the last few weeks, we'll lose this game. So the players need to get their heads right for this. And I want to see everyone fired up, raring to go and matching Wrexham in terms of that battle and physical element to the game that we know we can bring. But again, the last few weeks in particular, something's been definitely off on the pitch. We need to get that back.
Yeah, I think the motivation's easy, really. Give me a reaction from what, because it wasn't just those players that lost the game. It was the whole squad. And it's the club that's affected. So whoever starts against Wrexham, it's very simple. Show me a reaction. That's what the manager will obviously be saying.
And another key thing, and we have to call it out, is Davies has to play players in the right position.
Yeah.
That, again, is going to be a recipe for disaster. If we go into this game, Stano on the left, Paik in the 10, and then Awata and Solis in the 6s.
I know, and I think a lot of Blues fans, from the amazing amount of comments we got on our post-match Brentford podcast, a lot of them, and including ourselves, are expecting to go back to exactly that on Friday. So. And hopefully that won't happen. But let's talk a little bit about Wrexham first, Matt, because obviously we know our faults, and we can go into that a little bit later in terms of our team selection. But the Wrexham have evolved, haven't they? Their recruitment is appropriate players. They've always done that. They've bought the players they need at that point in time, not for a future that you may never have. So buying players for a Premier League you may never even get to. Look at the business that they've done. I think they'll do a lot more business as well over the next few days. Wrexham. Time of recording, they brought in Anthony Patterson. I think they've overpaid for him, but he's still a very experienced Championship goalkeeper.
I think that's where the market is now.
Yeah,
It's completely out of control.
Yeah, so the market's determined that. I think a really good sign, and I've watched both their games. Well, I watched their first game against Cardiff because that was on Sky, and I saw the highlights. He scored against Watford, but Danny Imre, I think he's almost like not playing like a
wing back. He's a wing back.
He's always, every time you see him, he's always in the attacking positions, and what a great player. He was on loan at West Bromwich Albion. I think West Brom tried to sign him, but Wrexham, as teams do, dived in and got him. Allegedly, they paid round about 6.5 million for him, but a good signing. They brought in Ben Whiteman, a really experienced player, for around about 3.5. And you know that they're going to bring in. They've been linked with some real other players. I mean, until the transfer window closes, you don't know whether they're going to get those players. But they already had a good Championship team last season that finished just below one place below the playoffs. They're adding to that, so this is going to be a tough game. I think each year, as Wrexham have evolved, they have been harder to play against, harder to beat. I think we drew 1-1 last season there, didn't we? Beat them 2-0 at our place.
We drew 1-1 in consecutive seasons. We drew there 1-1 in League One, and we drew there 1-1 in the Championship. And I remember in League One, I would say we were slightly ahead of Wrexham in League One. And then the Championship season started. They finished above us, so you could argue that they finished the season slightly ahead of us. And I remember in League One, they really pinned us in our own half in that second half. In fact, I think we were lucky to get away with the draw in that game. Yeah. And then from the last season, from memory, the first half was all Wrexham and the second half was all Blues. It was literally a game of two halves. Yeah. And from memory again, Paddy Roberts went and scored the equaliser not far after half time, I think, in that the end where there's no stand at the moment. But, we've got to call it, it's an incredible story. Yeah, it is. Wrexham, Parkinson's done a great job. 5 years he's been there now with 3 consecutive promotions. And, I think the one area where we can look at Wrexham and give them credit and think we should be doing better is their recruitment. And you've hit the nail on the head. And I've complimented this in the past as well. They've always recruited for the division that they're in. Yeah. And look at the results. Consecutive promotions. They finished 7th last season, which is a good season in the Championship, considering they're in League One the year before. And Parkinson, he's pragmatic, isn't he? He knows how to get the best out of the players he have. I mean, Kiefer Moore is just Wrexham's dream signing, isn't he? Yeah. A player that you can lump it up to, hold it up, or pull your teammates in. They remind me of, there's certain teams in the Championship, Millwall come to mind, Wrexham come to mind. I guess Charlton come to mind to some extent as well. They're very good at doing vertical balls, and then their players are pouncing on the second ball. Yeah. But they're really good at it, especially at home. So we have to be wary of that. But I think, just want to jump back to that point, the one thing I look at Wrexham and think, I wish Blues would have done that a bit better. You've got to look at their recruitment. And
it stands out a mile, doesn't it? I also think as well with Wrexham, they don't mess around with the ball. If they get the opportunity, that ball is crossed. There's no dilly-dallying with the ball or trying to sort of make and break through. It's literally cross the ball and it's clearly pays dividends. Although they have had a start exactly the same as us, both of us go into the game having drawn our first 2 games. I saw their first game against Cardiff, which they should have won. Cardiff scored right at the end with a free kick, last kick of the game.
Good drama though.
But Wrexham had so many chances to win that game, and they will feel like they've dropped 2 points there, and that just shows you that's what the Championship's like, isn't it? You can be 1-0 up, dominating a game, and you can get caught like that. The 1-1 draw at home to Watford. And
they should have won that as well.
Watford have started well. I mean, they've won 1, drawn 1 of their first 2 games. But again, you think at home they would be stronger. So both teams go into it exactly identical in the table in terms of league positions. We're 13th, they're 14th. And both got 2 points out of 2 games. So both are going to want to pick something up from this.
Yeah. And last season, only 3 spaces separated us. So on paper, and as 2 clubs, we're quite close, aren't we, Wrexham and Blues? I'd say if you're going to pick 2 clubs in the Championship, which are kind of close and on the same trajectory, I'd say it's probably Blues and Wrexham.
I think you're right. And also as well, we know that the fixture computer threw up a very daunting first 10 fixtures for us. It ain't been much kinder to them either. So after they've played us away, they're at home, they're away to Millwall. Then they've got a Welsh derby away to Swansea, then they're at home to Burnley, then away to West Ham, then at home to Southampton, then away to Derby, home to West Brom. So they have got an equally tough start as us. And actually, Matt, as I look through those fixtures, the way we're playing at the moment, I don't see any game as easy. in this championship. But again, you look at their fixtures, and they're not really indifferent to ours, are they? They did really well last season, but they tailed off towards the end of the season. They had a few defeats that really scuppered their championship, because it did look like at one point they were in the prime position to get that last playoff place. And ended up losing. We didn't help that, because we were one of those teams late in the season. We beat them 2-0 at our place. Prior to that, they lost at home to Southampton 5-1. And then the last but one game of the season, they had Middlesbrough and Coventry last two fixtures. They lost to Coventry and drew with Middlesbrough, but of course it was so tight in that division. They got 7th place in the end. So overall, like you said, it is a good season in the Championship, but that's the worst place to finish. There's that one place. I mean, this season that will be a playoff place, won't it?
It will be, indeed.
And I think I think as well, the next few days are going to be interesting. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the transfer window closes next Tuesday next week. And we will do a review of the transfer window when I'm back off holiday after the Wolves game. But they will strengthen, and the rumour linked with all sorts of players at the moment. I think as we will as well. But
again, I think what separates Blues and Wrexham at the minute is they've gone for Josh Windass, Ben Sheaf, Whiteman, even Patterson, Kiefer Moore. Every single name I've just listed, and there's more on there, have got championship experience. We've gone more for a data-driven, bit of a gamble on international markets. Some haven't quite worked out, haven't we? And we've spent quite a lot of money. If you look at Vicente and Prisca's price, the Stano Costas in League One, and I think that's the difference. We're kind of AI, data-driven, looking at stats and stuff, whereas they've just gone, we need this guy to get us out of the championship, and they've gone for it. So I think that is the difference in the two teams at the moment. But I still think it's going to be a close game. We have to give a better performance than Brentford. But let's hope we get that typical reaction against Wrexham. But they're not going to roll over. They are a tough team. They're, as I said, very physical, depend on winning those individual battles.
I look at their the way they set themselves up in the first two games as well. They've had, apart from one change in the second game against Watford, I think they brought in Ben Whiteman to start in that game.
He's a good player.
Again,
good experience.
Yeah, I think Matty James dropped to the bench, but the side was the same. So you have Patterson in goal, and they have got an interchangeable system. On paper, it looks like a 5-4-1, but effectively it transitions into pretty much the same type of formation as us, 4-2-3-1. But it seems more fluid. You look at their
and 4-3-3.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, they've got Viner, Hyam, and Doyle as their centre backs. They've almost got like a back three, and they've got Thomason on their left and Imre on their right. I mean, as I've mentioned, every time I look at Imre, he's very rarely in his own half, so he's not really a right back.
Kind of like when Laird plays.
Yes, exactly. And then they've got on their right wing, Ollie Rathbone. So Matty James started the game against Cardiff, but then he was in the second game. It was Whiteman. Lewis O'Brien as well. He's a good playmaker in their sixes as well. And Broadhead has been starting off on their left with Kiefer Moore as a target man. I know at the moment as well, I don't know how far he's away, but Windass has been injured as well. He hasn't featured yet. I think they're nursing him back.
Some player he is.
He is, and if you them two on the pitch together, Moore and they scored a load of goals last season.
Yeah. And that's what they do, though, Dad. They get it up to Kiefer Moore, and then Windass, Broadhead, Rathbone, they're all then chomping at the bit to get that second ball, and that's how they catch a lot of teams out. And Kiefer Moore's a good player.
Yeah.
I mean, the finish against Cardiff, I would not have expected him to pull that out of the bag. Quite a tight angle. I mean, what a finish that was. And I think when you've got a good focal target man with a swarm of bees mopping up the second ball, you're going to do quite well in this division.
That's what we do wrong, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
We'll get a ball hoofed up to, let's say, Prisca.
Yeah.
And whereas Wrexham, when the ball's in the air, they've got their players coming around him to pick up a second ball. Ours don't.
Exactly.
And this is why the target man only works if you've got that, because you win those second balls, then you sort of maybe potentially into a tackle or shot or chance or whatever. We don't do that. No. So we're using Prisca as almost like sometimes a lot when we didn't have, a better quality of side, let's say, when we had Yuki, he would hold the ball rather than try and flick it on lots of occasions because he had nobody running off him. We're doing exactly the same against Prisca. That's why a lot of people are crying out for put Stano in the 10
100%.
So he can get close to him, and then when the ball's in the air, he can be there to mop up some of these second balls. And that's what worries me about this, is that we don't utilise because we brought Prisca in to be a target man. It sort of worked a bit at the end of last season, but this season in the games that we've played so far against Sheffield United and against the Bristol City in the league hasn't worked. We can't really talk about the Brentford game because he only came on towards the end of the game for that.
But you could still point to the strategy, which was non-existent, and that we've kind of just gone into no man's land. So it was possession at all costs. Then it was direct, and now it's just no man's land. What do we stand for at the minute? I ain't got a clue. And that's the problem. If we were to play Priska in the 9 and Stano in the 10, and I think it's worth saying, me and you aren't a fan of Stano in the 10, but if you're going to use him, that's going to be the position, and allow him creative freedom to play off him. Because if you take Wrexham, use Kiefer Moore and then Rathbone and Windass and all the players around him. If Priska's then that Kiefer Moore, we can have Stano then roaming around and running onto his through balls and his headers and his flick-ons. We could have Dimmy and Patrick Roberts or Vicente coming in a little bit tighter and closer. You know, if we strategically use Priska to his strengths and the team adapt to that, we could do really well. But at the minute, we just don't look like we have a plan.
Well, Matt, I want to come back to a great point you've made in the last couple of podcasts, is that, you know, with the players that we've got, we are not capable of playing a 4-2-3-1. We haven't got that elusive number 10, so why not change the system? This is the issue. We're trying to shoehorn players into a system where we haven't got the appropriate players to play that system. So, you know, why not change the system? Because Chris Davies has always stuck with that 4-2-3-1, and it is stubbornness on his part. When you look at other managers, they will change the system based upon the opposition, the players, and tactics, and where they are in a game as well. We don't do that. No. It's 4-2-3-1, bang, 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 bang. And we have come a little bit predictable. We haven't got that elusive number 10 to play that system.
The number 10 is so pointless at the minute. And so
I mean, Fujimoto against Brentford.
What was that?
Awful. Yeah.
What was that?
That was awful.
It was, someone on social media said it's like he won a competition. And he's just like playing in the team for like a 30-minute run.
Well, like a raffle.
Yeah, he's won a raffle. But it did feel like that.
Pake don't work either. And he's played Pake in the first 2 league games. So, you know, if you haven't
Dad, look at last season. We had Keshi Anderson, we had Kumas, we had Tommy Doyle, we had Pake, we had Stano, we had Dykes. Everyone had to go in the 10. Claire Allsop was probably in there at some point. It was like we tried everyone in that position, and that's a problem. If you haven't got a number 10, there's no point in playing a 4-2-3-1.
No.
Anyway.
Let's get on to the Blues team now, because this is interesting, because obviously we made 6 changes against Brentford, and a lot of people are expecting us to go back to our what we would classify as our strongest squad. So let's talk about what we think the Blues lineup will be, and then have a quick score prediction after that.
One final point on Wrexham, and you alluded to it earlier with what's his name, Imre.
Imre.
They are excellent at utilising wing backs.
Yeah.
But there's always a caveat in football that then allows often space in the back when they push up too high. A bit like what we've seen with the Water and Laird at right back, and then we've been caught out at the back. That can happen to Wrexham. However, they do utilise their wing backs very effectively.
I agree, Matt, and that is a really good point as well. But the problem we've seen, particularly in the first 2 league games, when we do get in those positions, the tempo slows and we don't go direct. We end up pulling the ball back. So when we've got the impetus, so basically we've broken their press or broken their play, and we get behind a team, very rarely do we actually sort of force ourselves forward. We seem to be looking back, looking to pass back.
And if you look at Brentford, even Bristol City, on the counter-attack, teams fly at us.
Yeah.
6 men are running up and they're moving. And the guy who's actually on the break and he's running, the ball is glued to his foot and he's not stopping. It's a bit like Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
No, run, Forrest, run. And he's going to the corner flag and his teammates are backing him up.
Is he available?
I'd take him at the minute. Imagine Forrest Gump in the 9. Right?
Oh, my word.
He'd score some goals with his pace. Anyway, but like, yeah, it's that frustration that we seem to go back to the goalkeeper, don't we? Whereas other teams are gunning for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the Blues team.
Let's go. Whose turn is it? I can't remember.
I think I did the back line last time.
Okay, mate, I'll make it quick and simple. Beadling goal, Cochrane left back, Clara Neumann centre halves, and Bright at right back.
See, I've gone for a change.
Have you?
I've gone for Beadling goal, Cochrane, Clara Neumann, and I've gone for Laird.
Why is that?
I think Laird gives us a bit more of an attacking outlet when he's on the pitch. And fair enough, I know I'm just going to back up my point earlier. It does leave space in the back sometimes. Okay. But I think going forward, you've alluded to this earlier, we slow the ball down, we have a lack of pace. At least when Laird's on the pitch, we have another attacking outlet because he plays so high up. That's my only theory.
Yeah, and making it clear, we're actually selecting the team that we would like to see, not what we think Chris Davies will, but sometimes that does very similar.
And by the way, that's really harsh on Asoi Samuel because
that's why I've picked him, because I think he's been
he has been good.
He's been one of the better players for the first 2 league games. I have to write off Brentford because I can't really refer to that. I'm sick of it. 6-1. Yeah. I mean, I've had a bad day today. I'm sure most Blues fans as well. But Bright, I think, he's done okay.
He has done okay.
So I think he deserves to keep his place. But that's fine. I understand your reasoning. I get it.
My only reasoning for Laird over Samuel is just to offer us a little bit more attacking wise. That's the only thing. And again, I'm going to put my hands up. I know that's harsh on Samuel, Samuel because he's been good. But we need a more attacking threat, and I think Laird could give us that. So midfield then. So this is what I want to see. I want to see Solis and Paik back in the number 6s. I want to see Dimmy on the left. I want to see Stano in the 10. I want to see Patrick Roberts on the right, and I want to see Prisca in the 9.
See, I've got exactly the same, and the only difference is I've still gone for Vicente, but I think most people will agree that he hasn't started the season well, Vicente, and Roberts. He's not been given a kick really, as he hasn't been given a chance. But if I was to pick between the two, it is really a flick of a coin because they're both really, really good players. But I think I'm just, in my mind, I'm hoping that Vicente can get back to the form we saw at the end of last season. Although Roberts will be thinking to himself, what do I need to do to get a game? Because he didn't even come on against Brentford. So unless there is, something going on where he's going to be loaned or sold, which I hope not, because I hope we keep him. So basically, I've gone for exactly the same, and I've gone Paik and Solis. So both of us have taken that plunge and put a watcher on the bench, which I don't think will happen.
No, so I think
because the teams we've picked, don't forget, is what we want to see, not what we think Chris Davies.
So I think Chris Davies is going to go Beadle, Cochrane, Clara, Neumann, Asoy, Samuel, Solis, and Awata in the midfield. I think he's going to go back to Stano on the left, Paik in the 10, Vicente on the right, and Prisca in the 9.
Which will be what we've pretty much done against the first 2 games of the season. If he does that, I think, particularly away at Wrexham, it's probably not the best. Although there would be an argument to have a bit of bite in midfield. This would have been a perfect game, by the way, for Mark Leonard if he was fit. In terms of that bite and that.
Or Taylor Gordon-Hitman maybe, just someone who's got a bit of snap in the middle.
Yeah, but definitely someone with that's what I'm talking about, and which is why he might justify a watcher in that position. But then that takes away a lot of creativity. There's one funny thing which came out of the Brentford game. Towards the end of the game, the fans were singing, there's only one Chrissy Davies, and they were going a watcher at the back, a watcher in attack. Blues are going to, and then they changed it, didn't they? So it's we know there's only one Chrissy Davies.
Stano at the back.
Stano at the back, a watcher in attack. I mean, that's one thing that did make me smile when we. The only thing that I think found amusing.
Another one, Dad. I saw Samuel got a yellow card, our own player, and someone shouted, "Send him off."
I think the Blues fans by that point had just had enough.
No, and by the way, like he said it and everyone laughed. He wasn't being genuine, but it was such a downer that actually kind of made me smile for a couple of minutes. But yeah. Why are you keeping up the Brentford game?
No, sorry. Let's give a score prediction, Matt.
But one final thing. So what he could do as well is he could put Solis and Awata in the midfield, but then bench Paik and still keep Stano in the 10, Dimmy and Vicente, whoever. And that would be a middle ground compromise, but it's still not ideal, I don't think. But Awata was on the bench against Brentford. He likes him away from home. I would bet my mortgage or my house on Solis and Awata being in those number 6s. For me, the question mark is going to be who's he going to put in the 10.
He doesn't seem to fancy Gray on the left, does he? Really? Because he did start against Brentford, but
and he scored.
And if he's fit, then why is he not starting him in league games, and why is he putting other players out of position into that position? So there's something not quite there, isn't there, in terms of the confidence that Chris Davies has got in his players or whatever. Yeah. But again, I think it could be a system problem. Anyway, Matt, let's finish the podcast.
So I did the score prediction first last time.
Yeah,
you go for it, Dad.
Yeah, I on the back of our debacle against Brentford, I think we do need a reaction. This is a tough game. I'm going for a 2-2 draw. I'm going for hopeful that we can turn up and give them a game, because they are. You can always see Wrexham score, particularly at home.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to get at least 2 goals to get anything out of this game. That's why I've gone 2-2.
If we play though with the Stano on the left and Paik in the 10, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me. And actually, how long have we been doing this podcast for? 2.5 years?
Yeah.
It's the first time in 2.5 years I've predicted 2 back-to-back Blues losses, which is not a nice feeling, is it really, when the club's in that position? So I've gone for Wrexham 2, Birmingham 0.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Blues fans will think that based upon.
Dad, we can only predict on what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that I was chatting with a mate on social media. Wouldn't it be typical Blues to turn up and play prime Barca football against Wrexham and win? And suddenly then everyone's thinking, we're not that bad, and then things are going up against the Premier League again. So
for prime Barca football, I would like to see.
But I'm just going off what I think Chris Davies is going to pick for his team. And I've seen Wrexham in both their games, and they look pretty good. I think they're going to overpower us in this. I've just gone for Wrexham 2 Blues now.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, the fixtures does worry me with the way we're playing, the way that they're building, and the way that they've developed. So I think this is going to be a very, very tough game for us. But I've gone hopefully for the reaction side of things, and they'll show a bit of pride and get something out of the game.
I hope you're right. I don't like making these predictions.
No,
I absolutely hate it.
Do you know what, Matt? I bet in the comments there'll be a lot of people who will be predicting a loss.
I never enjoy predicting the Blues loss. I don't do it very often, but it's just so deflating at the minute, isn't it? Seeing us set up in the way that we are, and you know. I think you've hit the nail on the head. The intensity and the speed and the pace that we go forward just isn't there for us to score a lot of goals.
No.
I eat my hat if we score 2 goals, Dan. But I hope you're right. I hope it's a 2-2 or even better. But at the minute, I just can't see it myself.
No.
But that's it for us Blues fans. But as always, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you did like the video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can watch us or listen to us over there. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.